Millionaire's cruel bet. If she dances this waltz, he'll adopt her. What happens next is amazing. Lily Thompson felt the weight of the world on her shoulders as she wiped down the counter of the cozy corner diner. The scent of freshly brewed coffee lingered, wrapping around her like a comforting hug, but it couldn't shield her from the storm of responsibilities that raged inside her. At 17, she was the anchor for her spirited 6-year-old brother, Max, ever since their mother passed away. She dreamed of escaping the monotony of their small Midwestern town, where the struggles of daily survival painted everything gray. Then came the day Charles Connor swaggered into her life. With his slick hair and an arrogant smirk, he was the kind of wealthy businessman who could snap his fingers and command attention. He wasn't just a newcomer. He was trouble incarnate. Over dinner with friends, he made an awful bet. If Lily mastered the waltz in a month, he would adopt her and whisk her away from the diner's walls. The words hung in the air like a dark cloud, and soon, whispers of the bet traveled through the town, igniting intrigue and skepticism alike. Lily's heart raced. Could this be the answer to all her problems? "Lily, you can't be serious," Max exclaimed as she disclosed the outrageous wager. His innocent blue eyes were wide with fear. They had enough to worry about without dancing lessons and a millionaire's whims. But beneath his hesitation, she found her resolve. She had to be more than the girl who served coffee and filed away dreams. She had to dance. She found an unexpected mentor in Mr. Lewis, an elderly war veteran who frequented the diner. The warmth in his smile soothed her frayed nerves, and before she knew it, they were twirling across her cramped apartment floor in the evenings after work. "Remember, Lily," he would say, patting her shoulder, "it's all about heart. Let the music guide you." His stories of resilience layered over each lesson fueled her spirit, igniting hope amidst the doubts that tethered her. But the laughter of her peers echoed around her, each mockery a knife twisting in her side. "Look at her, thinking she can waltz her way into a better life," they'd hiss. And Max? His doubts lay heavy, not realizing his sister fought harder with every lesson. Slowly, the townsfolk began to rally behind her. Neighbors, who had always praised her, had started whispering encouragement instead. The local minds were buzzing with admiration, their collective trust in Lily's journey wrapped around her like a warm blanket. But just as she found her footing, Charles played his cards, manipulating the rules with each graceful step she took. The stakes had escalated to an unbearable height. Sweat trickled down her spine as she rehearsed one final time under the stars. The town square, lit up with fairy lights, would soon witness a dance that could rewrite her fate. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the moment neared, her heart pounded like a drum, each beat a reminder of everything she stood to gain and lose. Families gathered, anticipation hanging thick in the air. Would Charles's cruelty grip at her ankles? Or would she rise, dancing not just for him, but for her own story, fiercely reclaiming who she was meant to be? Lily stepped into the spotlight, breath hitching. All eyes were on her, a collective pulse of hope and fear. This was it, she thought. She would either lose herself or unveil her strength. Would she let another dictate her fate? In that breathtaking moment of silence before the first note struck, she knew one thing. Nothing, absolutely nothing, could extinguish her fight. The dance floor awaited, and with it, a choice that could change her life forever. The music swelled, filling the silent square with a haunting melody. Lily took her first hesitant step into the spotlight, her breath shaky but determined. The fairy lights twinkled serenely above, almost synchronizing with the rhythm of her racing heartbeat. She focused on the notes, letting them wash over her, the weight of the world momentarily forgotten. This was her moment, the culmination of late-night practices and whispered doubts, and she refused to let it slip away. As she began to sway, each movement sparked a mix of anxiety and exhilaration. She felt all eyes upon her, the townspeople who had rallied behind her, Max's fearful stare, and Charles, who leaned back with his typical smirk, arms crossed in mock confidence. The world around her faded as the music took over, and she lost herself in the rhythm. She spun and twirled, letting Mr. Lewis's advice guide her. Every step was fueled by heart and hope. Lily could feel the censure of her peers weave through the cheers and claps. "Look at her, thinking she has some princess," they whispered, but she pushed aside their harsh words. She was no longer just the girl in the diner. She was a dancer reclaiming her story, sculpting her own destiny with every step. The tempo increased, her movements more fluid and confident, and with each twirl, she opened her heart wider. It was exhilarating, a rush of pure joy that made her almost forget about the stakes. But just then, out of the corner of her eye, she saw Charles step forward, eyes glimmering with that cruel determination. Was he about to intervene? Anxiety clawed at her gut, but she reminded herself of everything she fought for Max, for a future beyond the diner's walls. "Don't think, just dance," Mr. Lewis's voice echoed in her mind. She pushed through the fear, letting the music fill every corner of her being. She imagined her mother watching, imagined the pride shining in Max's innocent eyes. Suddenly, it wasn't just about winning a bet. It was about resilience, about breaking free from the chains of despair. As the final notes drew close, Lily felt a surge of energy flood her. With one final leap, she threw herself into an elegant spin, her heart soaring. The crowd erupted into applause, a cacophony of cheers and gasps that hit her like a warm tide. In that moment, she felt invincible, but then she caught Charles's gaze, no longer mocking, but calculating. The smirk had vanished and been replaced by something sharper, a glint of annoyance mixed with intrigue. He was no longer merely an audience member. He was on the verge of acting. This could open a new level in their wager that she hadn't anticipated. Was he about to unleash a twist that could undo everything she had accomplished? The music faded, but the electric energy lingered as she stood breathing heavily. The applause washed over her like a gentle wave, yet the gnawing uncertainty of what was to come twisted in her chest. The crowd was celebrating her, but her heart knew the fight wasn't over. Then, with a slow stride, Charles stepped forward. The anticipation was thick enough to cut with a knife. "Congratulations, Lily," he said, his voice smooth yet dripping with something darker. "But let us make the fun begin, shall we?" Would the bet morph into something entirely different from what she had expected? The fear bubbled anew in her stomach as she braced for whatever unthinkable challenge lay ahead. Lily's heart raced at Charles's words. The crowd's cheers blended into a dull roar in her ears, fading in and out as adrenaline surged through her body. "Fun?" she whispered under her breath, the trembling in her voice betraying her bravado. Charles had a way of making everything seem like a game, a twisted version of reality where he held all the cards. For a moment, she glared at him, trying to read his intentions. "How about a little challenge to liven things up?" he proposed, his eyes sparkling with mischief, the corners of his mouth curling into a grin that sent shivers down her spine. Lily crossed her arms, summoning any courage she had left. "What kind of challenge?" "Dance with me," he declared, motioning for her to join him. Gasps erupted from the crowd, and Lily felt the weight of their eyes, bright and curious. Before she could protest or back away, he took her hand, his grip surprisingly firm yet cool. For a heartbeat, the world narrowed around them, her pulse drumming in her ears alongside the whispers of the townspeople. Was she really going to dance with him? The thought sent dread spiraling deep within. And if I win? He continued, his voice low, too close for comfort. I get something in return. Something valuable. Fear tangled with curiosity as the crowd surged forward, pressing in around them. What do you want? She asked, her voice quieter now. He leaned in, a shadow of a smirk dancing on his lips. Let us say I want to take you under my wing for a month. Teach you everything I know about dance and life. His words dripped with honey, but hid venomous thorns. Her gut twisted. Was this some sort of sick game? Or did he actually want to elevate her, to thrust her into a world she was only beginning to glimpse? Or, she ventured, trying to keep a level tone. Or I can pull your name out of the competition entirely, he replied, his eyes glinting with a wicked challenge. You'll be just another nameless face again. Back to the diner, back to where you started. Lily hesitated. It felt like standing at the edge of a cliff, the dizzying heights thrilling yet terrifying. What is to stop you from using me as your puppet? Nothing at all, he said calmly, but you have a chance to shine. Show everyone that you're more than just a dancer. Prove I'm wrong about you. All you have to do is take a risk. It was a gamble. His words hung in the air, a tantalizing promise wrapped in danger. Every instinct screamed at her to refuse to walk away and keep her dignity intact. But a flicker of hope ignited within her. This was an opportunity, a chance to push herself beyond all limits. The crowd murmured, their anticipation palpable. She could feel their eyes on her, sensing their collective hold of breath. They believed in her. Could she dare to believe in herself? Fine, she said, determination tightening her throat. But let us do it right, one dance, no strings attached. His eyes widened slightly, and for the first time, uncertainty flickered across his face. One dance, huh? You've got it, she confirmed, her own excitement threading through the fear. She stepped back, heart beating wildly. With a sudden flourish, the music shifted once more, a piano solo melding into something brisker, more commanding. She took her position, defiant in the face of whatever Charles had in store for her. As they took their places, ready to dance, Lily felt the world around her shrink, just the two of them in the center of the storm. She locked eyes with him, every fiber of her being ready to ignite the moment they began. But the question now loomed larger than before. Could she truly defeat him, not just for her own sake, but for Max and everyone else who believed in her? As the music swelled into an ambitious crescendo, they began with an electric spark, and in that very moment, she wondered if this would be her greatest triumph or her most dangerous mistake. What would happen if the outcome led her somewhere she never anticipated? The music surged, a tidal wave of melody sweeping over them. Lily felt the pulse of the rhythm thrumming in her chest, pushing her forward, daring her to step into the unknown. As she began to move, she tried to shake off the weight of everyone watching. Each spin felt like she was bearing her soul, revealing a part of herself she thought she had buried long ago. Charles was a force beside her, and as their bodies moved in sync, his earlier bravado morphed into something deeply compelling. They twirled and dipped, a whirlwind of motion that roped the crowd into their own private performance. For a moment, she lost herself in the dance, the world fading away, leaving only the partnership forged in that electric moment. But every twirl was tinged with apprehension. The stakes loomed large in her mind. Would he pull her from the competition? The thought nagged at her, amplifying her energy, pushing her to go faster, to dance better. She imagined Max watching, his encouragement echoing in her mind. With each step, she channeled her frustration, her fears, but mostly her dreams. She spun faster, her confidence building as she started to interpret the music more profoundly. The audience gasped and cheered, their excitement feeding her fire. But Charles was relentless, matching her energy with a blend of raw skill and competition that sent adrenaline coursing throughout her body. Their bodies collided in a graceful push and pull, the dance floor transforming into a battleground of wills. Every leap and dive felt significant, a show of strength not just against Charles, but against all odds. The crowd's screams grew louder, forming an intoxicating symphony that drowned out her doubts. As they reached the climax of the song, a challenging flick of his wrist signaled a rapid shift in tempo. He launched her into the air, and for a split second, she felt weightless, soaring above the fear that had weighed her down for far too long. Time froze as the audience collectively held their breath, their exhilaration matching the rising score. But as she came back down, the ground rushed up to meet her. Charles caught her deftly, but his eyes, the once playful glint, had shifted. It now bore an intensity she wasn't prepared for. It was like he could see right through her, peeling back the layers she had fought so hard to build. When the music reached its final crescendo, she knew they were at the end of this challenge, the culmination of everything she had fought for. As the last note hung in the air, she planted her feet firmly on the ground, locking eyes with him, desperate to hold on to this moment just a second longer. The applause that erupted felt like a warm tide, curling around her, lifting her spirit even higher. Yet the uncertainty of Charles's intent still loomed like a storm cloud over their fleeting victory. He held her gaze, a slow, a probing smile creeping across his lips. "Well done," he murmured, but there was something unreadable in his expression that filled her with trepidation. She caught her breath, adrenaline still racing through her veins. But as she stood there, a new question wormed its way into her mind. Did winning the dance mean winning more than just a title? What if this was only the beginning of a tangled web of deceit, where the applause masked deeper fears lurking beneath? "Let us see if you can handle the next round," he said, gripping her hand lightly, the playful spark reigniting in his eyes. And just like that, the stakes seemed to rise even higher. What had she really signed up for? Would her gamble lead her into a world where her only option was to fight tooth and nail to keep her dream alive? Or would she instead belly flop into a deeper pool of Charles's ambitions? The lights dimmed momentarily as the applause faded, leaving Lily momentarily suspended in that charged silence. Her heart pounded a rapid rhythm as she absorbed the weight of what Charles had just said. The next round? It felt like standing on the edge of an abyss, one misstep away from falling into uncertainty. "Are you ready?" Charles's question cut through the lingering echoes of music. He leaned closer, his breath warm against her cheek. The sudden intimacy sent a shiver down her spine. She could see ambition flickering in his eyes, a fierce light that was both thrilling and terrifying. "Ready as I'll ever be," she replied, forcing a smile despite the storm brewing inside her. As the crowd settled, the atmosphere shifted. The next song began, a sultry ballad that seemed to weave silk through the air. This time, the pulse felt different. Instead of exhilaration, a sense of caution draped over her like a heavy quilt. Charles pulled her closer, his movements smoother, but there was a hint of pressure and unspoken challenge woven into each step. The dance had become more than performance. It was an intricate game. She couldn't shake the growing feeling that each turn and twirl was a test, not just of skill, but of her resolve. "Stay with me, Lily," he murmured, guiding her back into the rhythm. "Don't let the fear take over." Easier said than done. What was it she was afraid of? That she might fail the dance, or that she might lose herself to Charles's ambition? Both options coiled within her like tightly wound springs. As they swept across the stage, his hand on her waist felt both like support and a chain anchoring her to his will. They spun and dipped again, but this time, she tried to assert her own presence. She channeled the energy of the crowd, letting it fuel her, a fire igniting her passion for dance. Each step became a proclamation of her own power, and their movements began to weave a different story. This was no longer about proving something to Charles. It was about reclaiming herself. He watched her closely, his expression a blend of admiration and something else, something darker. She caught glimpses of it in the confident flick of his wrist or the intense focus in his eyes. This was no ordinary dance. As she took a risk, stepping out to lead for a moment, the audience gasped. Charles followed her cue, matching her energy unexpectedly, and they shot across the floor in perfect harmony. The thrill surged between them. Could this be a new path? A collaboration more than a competition? But as the rhythm slowed, she felt the shift in his attitude. The fun swirled into something more serious. The weight of his gaze intensified, demanding more than mere steps. He wanted her to bare her soul. With the final notes lingering like the last rays of sunlight before twilight, she held her breath again, momentum hanging in the balance. The applause erupted around them, wild and unrestrained, yet her heart raced for a different reason. Had she truly connected with him, or was this all a carefully orchestrated act? "Let us see where this takes us," he said with a mischievous grin, eyes alight with the thrill of the game. Lily's stomach twisted. What was this game really about? Did she risk everything for a chance at the title, or was this just the first step into something much more complex? She felt the thrill of the next challenge curling around her like smoke, seductive and dangerous. What would happen if this waltz wove her deeper into his world? Would dancing with Charles lead to freedom, or bind her in ways she couldn't yet comprehend? The applause reverberated in her ears, a chaotic symphony that both exhilarated and intimidated Lily. She had drawn the crowd in, but now she stood at a crossroads, a flickering flame caught in the gust of uncertainty. How far was she willing to go to prove herself? And was it even worth it? As they stepped off the stage, Lily caught sight of Charles's face still gleaming with the thrill of their performance, but there was something unsettling beneath the surface. Was he proud, or merely satisfied? The line blurred, and she grappled with her own emotions. Suddenly, his ambition felt more like a weight tethering her down than a support that she could uplift herself with. "Great job out there," Charles exclaimed, exuberance lighting up his features. But the moment was fleeting, overshadowed by her swirling thoughts. She was on the brink of something, a chance that felt both intoxicating and sickening. "Thanks," she replied, her voice quieter than she intended. The electricity that surged between them during the dance felt dimmed in an instant, as if reality had snuffed it out. "Let us talk strategy," he said, a glint of excitement sparking in his eyes. They stepped away from the throng, seeking refuge in a quieter corner of the venue. The noise around them faded slightly, but her heart still raced. "Strategy?" she echoed, eyebrows raised. She couldn't believe what that word implied. Was this about winning dance competitions or something more insidious? $1 million bet loomed in the air, and she couldn't tell if it was thrilling or terrifying. "Yeah, we have to leverage that performance," he said, leaning in closer, his voice low and conspiratorial. "You were magnetic out there. The judges will eat it up. Or it could destroy me," she countered, her breath hitching slightly. "What if I can't recreate that magic?" "Stop thinking like that," he replied, his tone softening. "You have that fire, Lily. You just need to harness it." She looked into his eyes, searching for authenticity. Were those words meant to uplift or manipulate? The duality of his ambition echoed in her mind. Did she trust him enough to move forward, or would indulging his plans mean losing herself entirely? Lily hesitated, feeling the ground shift beneath her. "What is the end game here, Charles?" she finally asked, her voice barely a whisper. "Are we dancing for a title or something deeper?" His expression morphed from confidence to something raw and vulnerable. "Something deeper," he murmured, taking her hand gently. His warmth momentarily quelled the tide of fear that threatened to drown her spirit. "I see a future, Lily. Not just a trophy." The gravity of his words crashed into her, and she wavered. Was this moment meant for her growth, or was it setting her up for heartbreak? She faced a choice: dive headfirst into Charles's world, or retreat to the familiar safety of her own. Around them, The buzzing venue felt surreal, like an elaborate illusion. It was glamour and grit mixed into one intoxicating cocktail. Should she drink it or not? The exhilarating prospects danced on the tip of her tongue, but the fear of losing herself held her back. With a deep breath, she decided to take the plunge. "Okay, let us do this," she said, determination flooding her veins. "But it's going to be on my terms." Charles's eyes widened with excitement, but she saw a flicker of something else, apprehension. "What terms did you have in mind?" he asked carefully, almost as if testing her resolve. The question swirled as anxiety bubbled beneath the surface. Could she truly set the terms of her own fate with him, or would she inevitably lose herself in this dance of dreams and ambitions? Lily had taken one step forward, but what would her next move reveal? Lily felt a rush of adrenaline as she stared into Charles's eyes, searching for clarity, but finding only more questions. The dim light of the venue created a curious aura around them, shifting her perspective. She thought about every dance she had ever performed, all those moments when it felt like her heart beat in rhythm with the music. This was different. She was stepping on a tightrope, and beneath her was a chasm of uncertainty. "I want to be seen for my talent, not just your partner," she said firmly, steadying her voice. "I want us to stand out, but not at the cost of who I am. I need to make decisions that feel right for me, not just go along with your vision." Charles regarded her with a mix of surprise and intrigue, like he hadn't quite expected this side of her. "I get that. But you have to understand, to win big, we might have to take risks. I mean, the competition is fierce and—" His words trailed off as an icy shadow crossed his face. "Maybe I don't want you to just be my partner, I want us to be a team." The sincerity in his gaze made her heart flutter, yet doubt lingered. "A team? Or a vehicle for your ambitions?" Each word felt heavy, as if she was choosing between safety and a leap into the unknown. He inhaled sharply, his brows knotting. "Give me a chance, Lily. We could make something incredible together. You be the star. But you have to trust me." Trust? That word lingered like a specter in her mind. She had trusted before, and the aftermath was never easy. Slowly she nodded, the tension in her shoulders releasing just a touch. "Okay. But we'll have to put together a plan. We practice hard, not just when it's fun, but when it's uncomfortable too." "Agreed. We'll stretch your limits," he explained, the enthusiasm flooding back into his expression. But she noticed something. The intensity of his eagerness seemed slightly off. Did he see her as a pawn in his game, or could this truly be an equal partnership? A chill brushed over her skin, and for a moment, silence stretched between them before being punctuated by the muffled music echoing from the main stage. The distant sounds of laughter and clinking glasses felt like an invitation to a world she wasn't sure she could inhabit anymore. "What if you make all these plans, and it doesn't work?" she ventured, uncertainty creeping back in. "What if we don't get the recognition we want?" "If it doesn't work, we learn," he answered, that trust she craved flashing in his eyes. "But if we dance this together, well, who knows what we can achieve? It's worth a try, isn't it?" She hesitated, her heart racing. Everything felt like a high-stakes wager, and every step forward could either be a brilliant victory or a gut-wrenching defeat. "Maybe it's time to show them who I really am," she whispered more to herself than to him, the flicker of determination sparking back to life. "Exactly," Charles said with fire in his voice. He stepped closer, their bodies almost brushing. "You are fire. Together, we can light up the dance floor." The excitement began to brew in her chest, yet a nagging apprehension accompanied it. Was she willing to risk everything, including her sanity and self-worth, for a chance at the spotlight? As she weighed the options, a shout erupted from the stage, drawing her attention. A performer finished their act, the sudden burst of applause rousing a longing deep within her. What would it feel like to truly own the stage? Lily's mind raced with possibilities. Her decision was no longer just about Charles. It was about reclaiming her power, taking control of her narrative. So let us set those terms, she said, a newfound clarity soaring through her. I'll be the spark, but I want to bring my own fire into this dance. No manipulations, just two partners dancing in harmony. Charles smiled, but she couldn't shake the feeling that he might not be prepared for her flame. Fantastic, he said, enthusiasm bubbling within him. Let us change everything. But somewhere in the depth of her heart, a question simmered. Was this really the beginning of a triumphant alliance, or the first step into a whirlwind of chaos? As the night wore on, with beats echoing around them and anticipation crackling in the air, she felt the thrill of the gamble. The stakes were rising, and each step they took led her closer to the precipice of a dream, but also to the edge of disaster. Lily inhaled rapidly, the exhilarating scent of the dance floor entrancing her senses. What would this new chapter bring? Would she hold tightly to herself, or would Charles pull her under into his ambitions? And the biggest question of all loomed in her mind. What if this dance led her to the very thing she feared most, the loss of who she truly was? The weeks flew by faster than Lily had anticipated. Each day blended into the next, with practices stretching into late evenings. The studio became a world of its own, where mirrors reflected not just her movements, but the storm inside her. With every twirl and dip, they crafted a routine that was visibly powerful, and yet every heartbeat was also filled with doubt. Inside her, conflicting emotions waged war. Excitement melded with fear. She felt light as she danced, yet heavy with burdens of uncertainty. Were they truly becoming a team, or was Charles still orchestrating things to fit his mold? Each time he called her fire, she felt a flutter, but also a prick of anxiety, like a warning whisper hiding in the shadows. On a Friday evening, under the harsh glare of fluorescent lights, Lily stood with Charles as they rehearsed for the umpteenth time. His eagerness burned bright, urging her to unleash her spirit. Just let go, Lily. Dance like no one is watching, he encouraged, his eyes alive with a fervor that was at once intoxicating and alarming. She nodded, her heart racing as the beat of the music surged through the room. Her feet found the rhythm, and she lost herself for a moment, surrendering to the flow. Yet, each spin sent her mind spiraling back to thoughts of her own identity, her own dreams. What did she truly want out of this? What if this was all just a rehearsal for a performance that didn't align with her desires? A knock on the studio door broke her reverie. Startled, she turned to see Mia, an old friend and fellow dancer, standing hesitantly. There was a moment of surprise before Mia's face broke into an enthusiastic smile. Hey, I didn't know you were here. Just had to see what all the talk was about. Mia's eyes sparkled with curiosity, taking in the dance atmosphere. Lily hesitated, uncertain whether to fully let Mia into her world. Oh, just practicing, she said, a lame attempt to stifle the chaos swirling within her. Mia's smile faltered, sensing the tension. You okay? You should come out with us. A night off will do you good. I miss dancing with you in the carefree way we used to. Carefree. The word lingered between them, heavy with nostalgia. But the truth squeezed tightly in her chest. She wanted to break free, to feel alive again, but commitment loomed like a shadow. Before she could finish, Charles interrupted. We're just about to unveil something big, he declared, wrapping an arm around Lily's shoulder. This could lead us to something amazing, Mia. You should see her dance. Mia raised an eyebrow, catching the underlying tension. Really, Lily? This is what you want? It doesn't feel like you're enjoying it. Charisma radiated from Charles, but Lily felt the chains tighten around her. I am enjoying it, she insisted, but her voice wavered. Mia stepped closer. Are you, though? It's easy to get lost in someone else's vision. Just don't forget who you are. Those words struck deep, echoing her earlier thoughts. Was this her dream? Or was it becoming Charles's dream for her? As the music echoed around them, she felt an internal battle raging. It would be so easy to let go and let him decide her path. But was that truly living? The thought of surrendering everything she had fought for jolted her. Maybe I need to take a little break, she said slowly, surprising even herself. I just need to think. Charles's expression shifted, a mix of confusion and disbelief crossing his features. But we're so close. Just one more push and everything will fall into place. Maybe it's not about the push, Mia interjected softly, standing by Lily's side. Maybe it's about knowing when to pull back. The tension simmered. Lily's heart beat faster as she stepped back, feeling the weight of their expectations press on her chest. You have to trust yourself, Mia whispered, a gentle plea in her eyes. In that moment, a crack in the storm opened. Perhaps stepping away was what she truly needed. What if I lose my chance? She breathed, the doubt clawing at her insides. Or what if you find a part of yourself you didn't know you were missing? Mia countered. The question hung in the air, alive with possibility. As Lily glanced at Charles, yearning mixed with hesitation. The tension grew palpable, the decision looming larger than ever. Would she choose to reclaim her identity or remain within Charles's dazzling vision? With a decisive breath, she looked back at Mia. Let us go. Those two words ushered in a wave of liberation and fear, propelling her toward a path yet unknown. And as she stepped away, that lingering question echoed in her mind. Could she dance her way back to herself without losing everything? The cool air greeted Lily like a long-lost friend as she stepped outside the studio. She could still hear the echoes of the music swirling in her head, but it was beginning to fade. Mia was right beside her, a steady presence as they left the chaos behind. Are you sure about this? Mia asked cautiously, her voice low but penetrating. I mean, it's a huge opportunity. I know, Lily replied, her throat tightening as she felt the nervous excitement bouncing in her chest. But it's not mine. It's like I've been decorating someone else's vision with my colors, and I can't even tell what the picture really looks like anymore. They walked down the street, the evening light shimmering around them like tiny jewels nestled in a dark velvet sky. The city felt alive, buzzing with energy that made Lily's heart race with possibilities. She hadn't realized how stifled she had felt inside that studio until now. Mia smiled, a bright beam against the twilight. This is just the beginning. Let us celebrate dance all night like we used to. No stress, no pressure. Just us. Lily's heart soared at the thought. Do you remember those summer nights? When we'd lose ourselves in the music and forget everything else? Absolutely. Mia laughed, her voice bright and melodic. And you, always leading the way with those crazy pirouettes. I had to keep up, or I'd lose you. It was as if the weight of the world had lifted off Lily's shoulders. She grabbed Mia's hand, the warmth radiating between them grounding her. Let us do it. Let's dance like we're the only two people in the world. As they made their way to a nearby club, the flashing lights and pounding bass awaited them. Lily's heart raced not with anxiety, but with anticipation. Inside, the atmosphere was electric, a sea of bodies swaying against the beat. It felt foreign and familiar all at once. Lily closed her eyes, letting the music wash over her. It was a feeling she had missed, a connection that felt true and unfiltered. She and Mia jumped into the rhythm effortlessly, their laughter mingling with the bass as they danced. It was liberating, freeing her from the confines that had recently held her back. Each move brought her alive, her spirit igniting. But then, from the corner of her eye, she spotted familiar figures. Charles stood at the bar, a group of people surrounding him, drawn in by his magnetic charm. Instinctively, she ducked her head and pulled Mia closer, trying to melt into the crowd. "Lily? Is that Charles?" Mia asked, her face a curious mix of concern and disbelief. "Sure," Lily murmured. "He can't see me here, not now. I just need a moment away." Mia squeezed her hand, looking at her with understanding. "Keep dancing. Just be you. Forget he is here." Taking a deep breath, Lily stepped back from the shadows, trying to shake off the anxiety clawing at her heart. The music pulsed like a heartbeat, washing over her old fears. Moment by moment, she became more immersed in the freedom that engulfed her. But when she spun around, catching glimpses of Charles again, a realization dawned on her. Was she hiding? Was this not about escaping but embracing who she was when he wasn't watching? The next moment, a challenge sparked in her chest. She turned toward him, testing the waters, and what she saw made her pulse race. Charles's gaze was locked on her, his expression unreadable. There was something almost predatory in his eyes, a sense of possessiveness she hadn't felt before. "Mia," she whispered, fear creeping back in. "What if he follows me?" "Then you show him who you really are," Mia replied fiercely, her eyes glowing with determination. With a newfound spark, Lily stepped onto the dance floor. Each move felt like a declaration of independence. She conquered her space, letting the music guide her to express everything she had kept bottled inside. As she twirled, she caught glimpses of Charles talking to a new stranger, but now it ignited something within her confidence. And yet, in the back of her mind, an unsettling question lingered. What if he approached her? What would she say when the man who had tried to define her dance stepped back into her life? Just as a wicked smile crossed her lips, the crowd parted like the Red Sea, revealing Charles making his way toward her, his eyes ablaze with a mix of admiration and demand. "Lily," he called out, the music fading for a moment as the reality of her two worlds collided. Her breath caught in her throat, the spotlight shifting in an instant. And just like that, everything she thought she had walked away from was coming back. With every step he took, it became clear this wasn't just about dancing anymore. This was about who she wanted to become. Could she hold her ground when the intensity ramped up? Would she dance her own way or surrender again? Lily felt the room shift as Charles approached, the music fading to a distant hum in her ears. Her heart raced, but this time it wasn't just fear, it was defiance. She took a deep breath, digging deep into the strength she had found in herself over the last few weeks. "Lily," he said, his voice smooth as velvet, but his eyes brimmed with an intensity that sent shivers down her spine. "You left without saying a word. What are you doing here?" "I'm dancing," she replied, forcing a confident smile and meeting his gaze squarely. "And I'm finally doing it for me." Charles frowned slightly, confusion flickering across his handsome features. "You think you can just walk away from what we started? From the plan?" The word stung, but she stood her ground. "A plan that was never fully mine, Charles. I danced for you, but I need to dance for me now." He tilted his head, measuring her resolve. "Just for you. Come on, Lily. You were brilliant out there. I don't want to be brilliant in your shadow," she declared, the weight of her journey hitting home. "What if I promise to support you, to let you shine first?" he offered, stepping closer, the crowd around them whispering in rapt attention. This was the pivotal choice to reclaim her own narrative. "Supporting me means trusting my vision, not molding me into what you want," she countered, her heart pounding. "No more conditions," he said finally, the playfulness fading from his eyes, replaced by something rawer. "It's just dance." Together. As they both stood frozen, the club pulsed with energy around them, but Lily's world zeroed in on this moment. "I need to lead my own dance now," she said resolutely. "Not just in the studio, but in every aspect of my life. I won't let anyone dictate who I should be, not even you." The air crackled between them, filled with tense energy. "You can leave now," he said, a strange sadness drowning out the confidence he'd worn before. "I'm not leaving. I'm embracing who I am," she declared, her voice unwavering. "And that involves dancing not just for show, but with heart and truth." His expression softened for just a second, like a switch flicking in his mind. "All right. Show me how you want it done, Lily." With that, the rhythm of her heart synced with the music, the crowd roaring back to life. In that moment, she knew the dance floor was hers as much as it was his. She turned, her spirit alight with vitality, beckoning him into the moment. As they danced together, the air around them shifted. She led, guiding them both into a rhythm that felt fitting, liberating. Charles matched her energy, but this time there was no mask. The dance became a striking reflection of both their strengths, balancing on the precipice of ambition and freedom. Her heart soared as she spun and twirled, weaving a story about claiming her space, her identity, and her dreams. The audience, all the townsfolk who had once watched in skeptical murmurs, now cheered in wild excitement. She could feel their support wrapping around her like a warm blanket as she reclaimed her essence with each beat. And just as she had hoped, Charles began to loosen his grip. His bravado transformed into respect as he followed her lead. No longer the puppeteer, but a partner in this dance of life she was shaping on her own terms. As the finale approached, Lily took an exhilarating leap, soaring above the crowd's cheers. They landed with a flourish, their movements in perfect sync, hearts racing in the electric aftermath. Applause erupted like thunder. She had not only danced, she had triumphed. As the loud cheers faded, Charles looked at her with a new understanding. "You've changed, Lily," he murmured, a hint of admiration threading through his voice. "And I think I could learn a thing or two from you." "About dance or about life?" she teased, slowly savoring the shift in their dynamic. "Both," he admitted softly. "You have a fire that deserves to be seen." In that moment, a sense of clarity washed over her. The dance had become much more than a mere contest. It had transformed into a powerful declaration of her independence. As the crowd began to disperse, Lily felt exhilarated, her spirit unencumbered. She turned to Max, who burst through the gathering crowd with his radiant blue eyes full of pride, laughter bubbling from him. "You were amazing, Lily." She scooped him up into her arms, tears of joy glistening in her eyes. "We did it!" she exclaimed, holding him close, feeling the weight of their dreams finally lifting. Charles stood just a few feet away, watching with a gentle smile, as if he had found a slice of admiration in her journey now. They had both started this in a tangled play of ambition, but what evolved was infinitely more profound. "Congratulations, Lily," he called with sincerity, and she offered him a soft smile in return. No longer just the girl from the diner, nor just a pawn in someone else's game, but truly the dancer in charge of her own story. Now, the future, vibrant and open, sparkled with possibilities. And as they walked out together, hearts full, she knew they had all won, most importantly herself. The music still echoed in her ears, carrying a promise of new beginnings, and with it came a desire to inspire others. She would take this dance into the world either with or without his hand leading her, and write her own story from here on out. A story that would shine brightly, guiding not just herself, but also those who dared to dream. You need to subscribe now to this channel, so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. I want to hear your thoughts. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Your support matters.